Hey everyone, okay, so today I'm going to be talking you through 5 different ways to powder your face, and even though I've probably talked about all of these ways in single videos, it's a good thing to round them all up because powder is one of the most important things in your makeup routine. It's the one thing that creates longevity in the skin, and yes, we can get rid of the powder, which I mentioned in my previous video, and there's a link in the description bar below if you want to click that to get rid of the powder residue that's left, but we still need to powder our faces. So I'm going to go through the 5 ways that I would powder faces. So we're going to start with the very first one, which is an all-over powder application with a powder brush. Now this is a standard application that goes across the entire face in circular or downward stroke motions all over the face. This is a great way to powder your face quickly, and it's suitable for those of you really with normal to oily skin. Not suitable really for those of you with dry skin, because this motion can create micro exfoliation, which never looks pretty, which means that the powder clings to the foundation, and then as you start to move it, it kind of moves and cakes. So that kind of powder foundation, this kind of powder application is great if you have normal to oily skin. The second application is my preferred one, which is called T-zone application. And I'm just going to demonstrate with a brush, but what you want to think about is, of all the face, when it's all done beautifully, the areas that we really don't want to shine are here. Really in particular is right here. That should really be quite matte. So the T-zone application is where you powder this area, down the nose, the chin, and the sides of the nose, and just under the eyes. That's the T-zone application, and it's one of my favorite. It means that you allow the rest of the foundation as the day goes on to become more and more dewy as your natural oils mix with it. Gorgeous, it looks so beautiful. And don't worry about, if you say you haven't powdered here and you think, well, how do I put powder bronzer on? You can, I promise, it won't drag and pull. You just need to give your time, you just need to give your skin a moment or two, because powder foundations set by themselves. But I mean, foundations in general, liquid and cream foundations, they set by themselves, but they need enough time. So that's application number 2. This technique is great for those of you with dry skin, or those of you who have trouble with redness in the skin when you start to powder and suddenly all the foundation is pulled off by this motion and you're left with the redness again. So what you want to do is you place the powder brush loaded with powder and you gently roll back and forth. This will give you an absolutely flawless looking foundation in the areas where you need to be very, very gentle with. My friend Mandy, who you've seen in some videos, has a lot of redness in her cheeks, and if we were to do this with a powder brush loaded with powder, it knocks off the foundation and exposes the redness again, which is not what we want. So this very gentle motion is an absolutely great way of powdering the face for very delicate skins and those with redness. The next way is probably the oldest fashioned way and still the best, is with the powder puff. You load up the powder puff with powder, you then knock off all the excess powder, very important, and then you press and roll. You do not go whoop and then watch all your foundation slide off. It's like giving a fingerprint. You are doing this, and by doing this motion, you are really locking into place your powder, and it is the most phenomenal way of doing it. Even if I'm doing a T-zone application, if the client has very dry skin or I really need to make sure that nothing moves, this application will ensure that nothing moves. And for those of you who really want to know what a powder brush is for, a powder brush was actually designed really for use with one of these, where you lock in all of the foundation with this, then you take a powder brush and you gently knock off the excess powder. That's really what a powder brush is actually for. Now that's 5 ways, because the 5th way really is what a powder brush is for. But there's another way you can use powder, and I'm going to show you now. And I'm back. There are a few companies that do liquid powders. These are powders in a jar. This is one by Dior, which I thought I would give a dry run. And I'm going to show you a quick application and then let you kind of, judge for yourself. Well, I'll tell you what I think. So you just basically apply it, and it gives a very matte effect, as you can see, and it's made me look a little bit Viking-like in the beard. You then allow it to kind of set, and then you just knock off any of the excess powder. Now, the main problem with this is that while it works really beautifully, and I mean it really does work beautifully, it can make the skin very matte, and it leaves a powder residue. Now, this is shade 01. A lot of the big companies are notorious for not considering women of color, so I don't know how deep these shades go, but the big companies just, I have no idea what's going on with them, but I would be very wary if you're Mediterranean skin and above, because it can leave a slight ash appearance on the skin. As you saw with mine, which gave me that kind of Viking looking beard, it can do the same on darker skins and really give it an ash tone. So I would really recommend against these, unless you can find it from a brand that specializes in women of color, which I think is a ridiculous thing in this day and age, that we have to have a specialized brand. But there you go. The big companies are clearly just ridiculous. But there you go. That's the ways to powder your face. So quick recap is the entire powder application for normal to oily skin that doesn't have excess redness. Then you've got the T-zone application where you apply either with a brush or a powder puff just to the T-zone area to take out the shine. Then you've got the rolling method, which is where you very lightly roll powder on the skin. It's a little bit time consuming, but very worthwhile for those of you who have skin types where, as I mentioned, the redness kind of shows through. Powder puff application is a fingerprint movement, and I cannot stress the importance of, once it's loaded, to knock off all that excess, because otherwise you'll be caked and you'll be like, so we don't want that. And lastly is the aerosol camo, which is completely up to you. It's a novelty product, one that I will use to the end, but I would not repurchase, mainly because it leaves that kind of, you know, it just leaves that Viking effect. That is lovely. I've always wanted a really blonde beard like that. But there you go. Happy Viking. Alrighty, so there you go. I hope you found this a little bit interesting. Appreciate it if you would do all the things that I'd like you to do. Absolutely, but it's up to you. All the information on where to follow me on Twitter and Instagram is in the description bar below, along with clickable videos that are coming up next, which I would love you to have a look at. Thanks so much for your time, and I will see you all soon. I've got some amazing tips and some wonderful tutorials coming up soon with a couple of gorgeous people who you're gonna love. I'll see you all soon. Oh, and an amazing eye tutorial that is a long lost forgotten one with YouTube being so focused, and our makeup artist so focused on huge eyes, and it's time to go back to basics and show you some really beautiful work that everybody can do on all eye shapes. So all that's coming soon. Thank you, bye-bye.